K-A-R-V-E-L or something like that. I guess there's several of them. I never heard of them.
Sounds good to me.
You go to Hogansville, you gotta want to go to Hogansville.
Not much there.
It's the other side of the interstate.
They're one of their managers just left.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 6 p.m., so we call the meeting to order for the Upson County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, November the 22nd. If you would, at this time, please rise for invocation. Pastor Floyd, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Heavenly Father, we give thanks today for expanding our knowledge in what must be done. As we look around and see worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, we give thanks this day for this fragile planet that we live on. Its times, tides, its sunsets and seasons. We give thanks this day for the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements. We give thanks today for our human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression. We give thanks this day for high hopes and noble causes, for our faith in you, for understanding of views not shared. We give thanks this day for all who have labored and suffered for a fair world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom. We give thanks this day for human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. We give thanks this day. We pray that we may not live by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. We give thanks today. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you join me in the pledge, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. First on the agenda is the public hearing for the proposed 2023 budget. This time I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. You got that? All those in favor, just unanimous. So the public hearing is now open. Okay. No one signed up for the public hearing portion.
I did.
Public hearing or
budget?
public comments? You talking about the budget?
No.
Okay, so nobody for the public hearing regarding the budget. So entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Public hearing is now closed. So moving along, next to public comments. I have one. So when I call your name, if you would again, please come forward. Stand either there or there so that you can be picked up by our YouTube viewers. And state your name and address for the record, and you get 5 minutes. How you doing, Mr. Biggs?
I got that.
Great.
Chris Biggs, 275 Marcy Drive here, Thomasville. Here as a representative of the Lincoln Park Citizen Coalition in reference to the word gym. I'm going to read a letter here from the citizens of Lincoln Park. It says, we have been working with the Board of Commissioners for quite some time seeking a resolution for the LP citizens and the use of the word gym. We have organized in an orderly fashion, met with the chairman of the board, Mr. Allen, District 6 Commissioner, Mr. Waller, and the county manager, Mr. Tinsley. We also applied for a 501c3 status. We have done everything we were asked. At this time, we are trying to understand how the citizens of Lincoln Park is excluded from Upson County taxpayers funding to improve our community for the lives, health, and well-being of the citizens. Every one of us are passionate about preserving our history as well as our communities of this great county who petition to preserve theirs. We are all hands on deck to make Upson better. The Word Museum not only serves Lincoln Park, but all of those who came out to the programs we tried to carry out. It's our way of trying to bring positivity and to those needing inspiring and hope and those who appears to be forgotten. Also, when we think about the Worthy Gym and everything else that's going on in Upson County, this is what the citizens of Lincoln Park said they actually see. On January the 11th, we had a board meet here, and under the new business, it was to review and set the condition assessment and maintenance plan for the annual chapel school, which that was a room full of people, I'm pretty sure that went to school down there, was trying to see how this thing was going to work out. Also, 4 months later, on May the 24th, there was another board meeting, and on the new business, it was talking about the considerations for repairing the Worthy Gym, which was vandalized several months before May 24th meeting. Also on that agenda was discussion and consideration for a bid for the annual chapel school repair. Now, when that was brought forth, the contractor that was doing the work, he said it would cost $70 plus something thousand to complete the work that he was supposed to be doing. He assured you all, he said that all I can do is stop the water damage. I cannot guarantee anything else but just stop the water damage, which would cost the taxpayers over $70,000. And all agreed to it. Everybody agreed to it. Here we are now, we are still 6.5 months later, still talking about Worthy Gym. We met with Chairman Allen, Mr. Wilder, and Jason, the county manager. We thought we had some type of agreement, maybe it would be the least to the citizens of Lincoln Park. You all have a work session also. It was discussed and said that it seemed like we was taking the county backwards by putting it back into the hands of the citizens. It was also said that there was some type of legal issue behind it. I'm not for sure. But I'm pretty sure that Mr. Tinsley didn't draft that agreement. That has to come from the legal side of Upson County. I hope it did, because it seemed very professional and very tight to me. What happened? Don't nobody know. So the citizens are saying, it's saying like on one side of the time we can preserve history, other side want to get it and push it down. We shouldn't do that. You all took an oath to represent every citizen of Upson County, regardless of what district that you represent. What's good on one side of town is good on the other side of town. What may be small to one person can be big to another person. All we ask is for the opportunity to see Worthy Gym stay as it is, so we can use it for our community functions and all. That's all that we're asking. 3 options. Either lease us a gym with the 5-year agreement that we have. Number 2, leave it on the county, repair it back to the state it was before it got vandalized so we can use it. Or number 3, deed it over to the community. We don't want to see this place destroyed. We really don't.
That's your 5.
Man, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, all right. No other further comments indicated in that sign up, so we'll move along. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Gentlemen, you have approval of the November 2nd work session meeting minutes, approval of the November 8th budget work session meeting minutes, and approval of the November 8th regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion on the consent?
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Chairman Allen.
Yes. All right, new business. Discussion and acceptance of the financials through October 31, 2022. Yeah.
All right, so I had planned to have this flashed on the screen, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get it back up after I was trying to shut my machine off.
Unplug it and plug it back up.
Correct. So what you have with you is a very short, condensed, abbreviated version of our year-to-date results from January 1st to October 31st, 2022. And the first page, page 1, is just a highlight of significant year-to-date events. Most all of these have already, were on here in the last report that you received. And I will say on Andrews Chapel is a new one, and that we're really probably, I think it's 99% done. I don't believe we've gone out to review the job yet. Our facilities director, I know they were in the painting phase just a couple of weeks ago. And so everything looks really good at the church, the chapel. The Judicial Center, you know, as far as that goes, we're in the, still in the programming phase. We're waiting for IPG to come back to us. We are doing some revisions to the building layout, et cetera, because we're committed, obviously, as you know, the county is committed to keeping this within the established budget of $22 million. A quick look at the general fund. You can see that year-to-date, we've collected $7 million in total revenues for county M&O and under incorporated services revenue, $1.3 million for a total of $8.4 million. Now, a substantial portion of this revenue is coming in this month in December, so those numbers will drastically change. Expenditure-wise, we're actually a little below. If you look at the percent today, in terms of county M&O expenses and unincorporated services, what's driving that for the most part is staffing shortages in some of our larger departments. One in particular within our jail and unincorporated services would be our road department. And so with the staffing shortages, we've incurred less employee-related costs than we have budgeted for the current year. Otherwise, those percentages should be closer to 75 to 80% of where we are year-to-date. The fund balance, as it stands right now, is $9.4 million. That will obviously increase the unassigned portion as we move through the year. I do expect us to, once the revenues hit, that we will wind up at a net surplus at the end of the year. And primarily that's because of personnel costs. Page 3. This is just a summary of our significant revenue funds. Have the same situation with the 911 fund. The majority of that is personnel costs, and also one of the key, obviously the manager position is vacant, or department head position is vacant. The sheriff has not yet filled that position yet. So that has has an impact on the year-to-date actual expenditures. The Joint Projects Fund itself, it looks, we're where we should be, Squirrel Bluff. We're probably a little high on total cost compared to budget. And most of that's going to be increased cost, really for events that we have held out at the Bluff. You know, Halloween Spooky Trail will be a part of that. Spend a little more money this year, but we also collect more revenues.
Expect that we're going to be at or below budget at the end?
We'll be at or below budget, yes, sir, in total.
So, component units, I put these in. Recreation, that one obviously stands out a bit. They have been short-staffed for quite some time. That's the reason that we're showing up at roughly 74%. We should be higher, closer to 80. IDA, they're just a tad bit high, but nothing remarkable there in terms of where they are budget today. Airport, the reason the airport's budget looks, we're only at 50%, there's $1.1 million of capital improvements in his budget, or their budget. That project has been moved to FY 2023. So that's driving the comparison there. Our proprietary funds, our water services, waste billing, we're looking good on water services. We're a little low. Well, we're not really low on waste billing. What's going on there is we bill revenues on a quarterly basis. So we, obviously by the time we get to year end, we will be, if you took that 838,000 and annualized it, we're gonna hit about 1.1 million in total revenues on waste billing. So we should come close to where we budget on both revenues and expenditures for waste billing services. And the back is really just a graphical display. I didn't put a lot of information here on capital expenditures. And this is only a representation of capital expenditures where we spent more than $25,000 or more in total. Most of it, as you might imagine, of our capital expenditures are coming out of our 2016 SPLOST. And most of that out of 2016 SPLOST is going to be equipment and vehicle related. 2019 T-SPLOST, there's some road work there, but there's also work that we, maintenance work that we do on our roadways, the patching service that we use to fill potholes, even cutting down trees, those sorts of things that are allowable under T-SPLOST. 2022 SPLOST, that is those monies there. That is what we've spent through October 30. Actually, yeah, through October 31st on Judicial Center. That's mostly engineering fees, architectural fees. Any questions?
Yeah, so on the, like the 16 SPLOST, you're saying this is only showing expenditures over 25,000?
Correct.
So how much?
In total, we're not far from the total.
I was gonna say,
Most of our
why'd you,
expenditures in 2016 SPLOST are over 25,000 in the first place. We don't have a lot of small dollar expenditures in SPLOST. There's a few, but total SPLOST expenditures through October 31st, I don't have that number right off the top of my head.
so just a suggestion, I don't know how hard it would be if you show that, and the next time, the reiteration of this, if you show total, and then if you want to just
Sure.
break the bar and say this is the percentage of greater than 25,000, 25 or greater, less than.
Okay. I'm glad to.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Jason, have anything you'd like to add?
No, maybe just a bit of a clarification, and I'll let Alan correct me if I'm misspeaking, but the 2022 SPLOST expenditures, those are technically coming from bond proceeds, right, Alan?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is a misnomer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are borrowed funds.
Yeah, I was just talking about the 16.
But they are capital expenses. The bulk of, really, I think the only actual expenses is debt service, right? That we'll have for we'll make one debt service payment this
Good.
year
Good.
out of 2020, our current SPLOST.
That's correct.
There's no debt service out of that 700.
No.
Not yet.
Is that paid once a year?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Any other questions? All right. Let's move along then. Discussion and consideration of the Highline Upson County co-location agreement.
Mr. Chairman, this is essentially an agreement between Upson County and Highline, because as you know, they've begun to put some infrastructure for their their broadband build out in our building. So this,
Oh, I heard you. Yes, a discussion and acceptance of the financials. Yeah, see, that's why you're keeping me on target. He beat you to it, Jessica. Okay, let me back up a second then. So do I have a motion to accept the financials through October 31st?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the financials. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes, thank you. All right, so, sorry, Jessica.
Oh, no problem, Mr. Chairman. So this essentially sets the parameters for how Highline will have access to their hardware facilities on our campus. It's been reviewed by legal and approved. I think the only comment that English Law Group gave me was just a question about the term. The level of engagement we have with this company, I mean, we probably won't even have finalized the grant by the time this term expires, so I'm fine with the term. I think that our attorney had pointed out perhaps you'd want to have some sort of 30-day or 45-day out for both parties.
Yeah, termination clause is not included in it,
Mhm.
which is just basically either party can terminate within 30, 60-day notice, whatever we decided on. But as Jason's pointed out, this contract actually, I think it's 24 months, 2 years, 24 months, however they.
And it goes month to month. after
Yeah, and
that.
then it goes month to month, so that's essentially a 30-day notice at that point.
Right.
So it wasn't a big concern.
Yeah, and it's probably fairly unlikely we'll even have our grant closed out by then, so I'm comfortable with it. So with that, we're recommending approval unless the board has questions.
Anybody have any questions? So gentlemen, you have staff's recommendation of approval of this co-location and equipment lease. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Okay, gentlemen, next you have the discussion and consideration of authorization to use 2016 splosh funds for the purchase of body armor for the sheriff's office.
So, Mr. Chairman, at the during our second set of budget hearings, when the board was reviewing the sheriff budget presentation, the sheriff had mentioned the need for body armor replacement, and the board had asked us to put an authorization for the expenditure of SPOS funds for the purchase of that body armor on the next agenda. So what you have is the quote that the sheriff provided us in response to your request. As you can see on what is essentially page 2, the quote is for $37,596.
Okay.
And that's the amount that the sheriff's asking the board to authorize.
Okay.
That amount was not included in the 23 budget.
And I remember we had this conversation during our,
Did we subtract that from the?
I think did we did or did not have that as a budgeted item?
It wasn't in his operating budget.
So was,
was
Mr.
just
Chairman, if I may, this was an item that came up as a 2023 presentation, and then I think the board suggested maybe we just go ahead and move it to 2022 SPOS expenditure because of the need. I'm trying to remember how.
Right.
Yeah. I think the board had mentioned that if it's that important of a need, and since it's a SPOS expenditure, just go ahead and put it on our agenda and get them ordered. So that was essentially what we did.
Okay. So 39 sets of body armor, $37,596. You have the request from the sheriff, and
Now, according to what I understand, this is more than body armor.
this is,
When you go down the list and he's got, other stuff,
no, this is just for this.
Yes.
but we go back up here, it's not, chain handcuff case and magazine cases and,
It's all stuff that attaches to the vest.
okay.
There are accessories that go on the
That's
vest.
my
So,
understanding.
as you can see, the quantity all equals each other, so it's 37 for each of those items. So
Okay,
I requested one for the county manager that was denied.
I do see it's, the quantities are 37, but then his handwritten is 39. So it's actually 39, not 37.
Yeah, what he's asking the board to approve is a total expenditure of 37,596. That's right.
yeah, that's what I said. What were you're, I mean, I've got one printed copy, so.
Yeah.
So the request is for $37,596 out of 2016 splosh for the purchase of body armor for the sheriff's office. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Or hats in there.
No.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Jones.
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Chairman Allen.
Yes. All right. Moving along. Discussion on the Worthy Gym lease agreement with the Lincoln Park Citizens Coalition.
So, Mr. Chairman, two updated items since the last time we had this on our agenda. The board had asked staff to provide an estimate for the items that were for the repair items the county would be responsible for under that lease agreement. I sent those to the board in a email dated November 3rd. But just as a quick refresher, there were electrical work, including wiring and box upgrades, new lighting and exit signs at $21,000. These are estimates. The window repairs were roughly $15,000, and the HVAC inspections and repairs were estimated at $4,000 for a total of $40,000. So those items that are mentioned in the draft lease agreement would be roughly a $40,000 cost to the county. The other question that the board had the last time we discussed this item was the provision of insurance for the facility. After a conversation with our attorney and our insurance agent, it is staff's recommendation that that Lincoln Park has to carry general liability on the building. So just general liability only, with the county as also insured. According to our professionals, there's really no other feasible way for us to do that. So basically that would cover them for whatever their uses were with the building. So those are all things that can be added to that lease agreement if the board wants to move forward with that. Those were the only items that the board had tasked staff to come back with.
Okay.
Did y'all talk about how much general liability they have? Up to this amount or this amount or this amount?
No, generally we ask for 1 million in general liability. So I mean that, according to our agent, that probably for an organization that's leasing a facility would not be that expensive. that's what we asked for our vendors. So I think the recommendation was to ask no different of the organization leasing the facility.
Any other questions?
He estimated the cost at a maximum of $1,000 annually, but he said don't hold him to that, and he'd certainly help them procure that if they were interested. So.
Okay.
He said it should be less than that.
But they're free to shop around and
Sure,
choose
sure.
whoever, whatever carrier, as long as the county's and also insured on the policy.
And so, just to be clear, as it sits right now, the agreement doesn't address the insurance?
I don't.
Well, it just lists insurance in there and with a question mark because we hadn't finalized it.
Right.
We knew that was an issue we needed to resolve.
Okay.
So I would say, no recommendation here, but if the board wanted to move forward with this, then it would be to include those items in the lease agreement, have the attorney do one last review, and then authorize the chairman to execute it. If the board wanted to move forward with that, or if there's more due diligence that the board needs staff to do, just let us know.
Okay, and now, so cost of repairs estimated $40,000. Funding source for that would be,
In the email, I said SPLOST. I'd want to do some research just to make sure we were okay with that. But an alternative source would be fund balance. We could appropriate fund balance to do the repairs. So we would want to use SPLOST if we could, but we would need to go back to the referendum to make sure that we were in good shape with that.
Okay. Have we torn down any buildings this year? We haven't done any demolition work this year, and we don't anticipate that we will.
I don't.
We've not encumbered any money on. I say encumber, so the CFO should perk up. It's code word. CFO. We haven't reserved any of that. I think we had $50,000 in this year's budget. So, say for instance, if we couldn't, or if we're maybe pushing the envelope on SPLOST, if we got $50,000 that we had for building demolition this year. Yeah. It doesn't.
We hadn't encumbered any of that?
No.
Have we been working on some?
I thought we tore some down.
Nothing's been torn down yet that I know of. I think there are two buildings that have been identified, but it doesn't look like they're going to get torn down this year. And I think there's $50,000 in next year's budget.
There's also contingency that we.
Yeah.
Which either of those would fall to fund balance if they were not utilized.
So were there, there's some other questions about the lease agreement where we're going to discuss, am I remembering something here? That didn't happen. We were going to workshop the lease agreement so we could finalize that.
I added termination language, which allows us to, either side to terminate. I think it was 30 days, may have been 60. Outside of that. 30.
Yeah.
So it sounds like as far as staff's concerned and attorney's concerned,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. There was one other thing I believe I added, which was any improvements that the leasee provided, they waive any rights to that if it's terminated.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's item number 8, right?
All right. Well, it sounds like it's ready for prime time for the most part. Is there any other concerns about this? I know you had mentioned at the meeting about taking the facility and turning it back over, but in this case, we have a pretty well-defined lease agreement.
Yeah, and as I stated before, I'm not against it. I mean, I just, we need to make sure that if we're going to do it, we need to do it right. And it needs to protect the county and Lincoln Park Coalition, that everything's in there right. I think Heath addressed the issue about, one of my things was, I think insurance come up with, the other thing was about, you know, if they invest a lot of money into this building, and a future board goes and says, well, we want to take this building back, and then they get into a legal case of, well, we put these doors up, we did this, I mean, that needs to be clear. You know, there needs to be clear language in there to so the water doesn't get muddied, or this is mine, this is yours.
Looks
Okay.
like that's in there now.
Yeah,
Item eight.
and the term is,
5 years.
okay,
Mr. Chairman, I think getting back to the initial meeting we had with the members of the coalition, the insurance, that would be really the only major deviation from the initial meeting we had, is that they were unsure as if they were going to be able to provide any type of insurance. So obviously, it sounds like we would include it and execute it that way, and then they would have to make the determination whether or not that was, you know.
I got another question. So they're pursuing tax thing.
501.
Yeah. What if they don't get it?
Does it change things? Not really, does it?
Well, I would
It would.
defer to our
Okay.
resident accountant, tax purposes. I mean,
Well, and then it becomes the issue of providing a space without it being offered to anyone else. That's where the 501, not having the 501. If you guys will allow me, I'm gonna ask Mr. Biggs a question. Where are you with your 501 application?
Just wait on the state, it has been filed already.
Okay,
Yeah. We filed it probably a month ago.
okay.
oh,
So if we moved on this, then, as Jason said, you know, I guess we'd be just asking for the board to authorize me to enter into this agreement, but the issues that would need to have been resolved before doing that would be approval of the 501 status. I'm assuming we would want to see some acknowledgement of the utilities being turned over. I know normally you have to have the lease to go get that, but we can get some. I don't see there being an issue there. Anything else?
Just the
Any
insurance.
insurance.
It's kind of binder. There's additional insurance is Upson County
Right.
Yeah.
Board of Commissioners.
So if we had those three things, is there anything else that you would be concerned about? Any concerns about the length of the initial? And the termination on this is
30 days.
30 days.
Written notice.
Without cost.
Without cause.
All right.
And just to
For both
clarify,
sides.
Mr. Chairman, on
Yeah, I hope so.
item 4A1, we would still maintain our normal insurance on the
Yes.
building. All they're covering is their use of it. So just, that, our responsibility to ensure the building does not go away, obviously. It just requires them also to insure themselves. Yep.
Okay. Okay, well, it sounds like there's nothing lingering with the lease agreement. What about the expenditures for the repairs? I mean, y'all, any thoughts on that?
I think if we have the money and dilapidated structures and we're unable to use it in the 22 budget, that we seek those funds first.
Yeah.
That's probably the easiest route to go. Those funds are already out there budgeted. We're still in, we got a few weeks left in this year, so we could,
I mean, well, if you think about it, quite frankly, a lot of the the structures that we were looking at, trying to remove, areas where we were looking to remove blight was in that community down there. So we're taking money that we had earmarked for the benefit of that community and applying it to that community.
Here's a,
We would, we would bring you the budget amendment in a separate, we would have to do that in a separate we'd have to do that by resolution at that amount.
So that's 40,000,
Yeah.
and we have 50 roughly, because I'm guessing it's probably going to be inch north of 40 as once we get into it. Okay.
now let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
So, we only got one more month left in the year.
It's highly unlikely we would get it done.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking,
We
you
got
know,
to-
so it's
We gotta
now,
bid it out, or find somebody that can do it.
this, so it won't come out of this year's budget at all. So it's gonna come out of next year's 50,000.
Well, no, we could encumber it.
Yeah, we could have go, because basically let's go.
Or-
It's transferring over to another year.
Yeah.
Well,
It'll just come out of fund balance in the next year.
correct.
Everything comes back to fund balance.
Yeah.
Unspent
Okay,
dollars.
that's a good point. But it's, yeah.
Send you, it'll fall fund balance.
It falls right back.
County managers are saying, so
You can't encumber it?
we can encumber it. We don't really have a policy. We don't carry forward our encumbrances or anything.
You don't
So-
show it. At the end of the year, that fund balance is what it is. It doesn't, it's not
Correct.
fund balance minus any
Encumbrance.
encumbered.
Right.
Okay.
So, we would just come to you with who we've got selected to do the work, a real quote bid, a hard quote or bid, and a resolution to.
So how quick can we get it done?
So we're gonna do.
Some of it we might be able to do this year, like the HVAC work, I would hope we could get
Thought
addressed
they
this
already
year.
had it running. Thought they already had it running.
So,
That's what you told me. You said they
I've not,
fixed it.
yeah, well, it was heavily damaged. I think at some level it does work, but it needs to be inspected and recertified, because there was a lot of physical damage done to the units outside. They need to be looked at. So under Parrish's line item, they had a inspection and repair with a $4,000 estimate.
It doesn't sound, I mean, we have folks that probably get that and get it done before a year's end. I'm just.
So some of those items, hopefully, we can address quickly.
And so if you break each one of these out individually, they're below the 25,000, so it hasn't got to come back to us. We would just, so that
Unless
would
it was-
expedite it a little bit.
Unless it was a SPOS expense.
Yeah, but it depends on if you're gonna get a general or piece it out. Now, if it's $40,000, then it's $40,000, right? If it goes to Paris,
We would just do it, I mean,
because that's only
we just
$25,000.
use Parrish to do basically,
Order of magnitude.
those are some line items from a larger rehab project, so
That was an order of magnitude.
Right. potentially may be able to have our facilities person, GC, the HVAC work we can handle, I think, before the end of the year. The rest of it, we'll just look at, and obviously,
The electrical.
we'll look at cost and speed, so.
Okay.
Yeah, cost first.
We'll get on it Monday.
What you doing tomorrow?
Driving to Mississippi.
Okay. Any other concerns, issues?
I mean, as long as, he's got everything covered, and it looks like it is.
We just need to add the general liability $1 million policy, outside of that.
Okay. So, well, this would be a two-part thing here then. If we want to get this off our plate, get moving. So first and foremost, I guess would be I guess I'll ask for a motion on the repairs. Do I have a motion on authorizing staff to expend an amount not to exceed for these repairs?
I'll make that.
What would that amount be? Are we gonna keep it at 40 total? Or- I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay, so a motion to
Those numbers should be
authorize staff to move forward with doing the repairs that are outlined here for an amount not to exceed
I'll
$40,000.
make the motion that authorizes that not to exceed 40,000.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, so I have a motion to authorize staff to proceed with the repairs that are outlined for a dollar amount not to exceed $40,000. Hearing no further discussion, Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Chairman Allen.
Yes. Okay, so the next part of this will be seeking a motion to authorize me to execute the lease agreement as prepared with the changes that we talked about as far as the general liability, the dollar amount of $1 million in general liability, and let's see. And the conditions that once we have the 501 status approved, once we have a binder for the insurance, and the third one was utilities, that I would have permission, I would be authorized to execute this lease agreement. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson.
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Chairman Allen.
Yes. Okay. There we go. Got your marching orders. I got my marching orders. Staff got their marching orders. All right. This sounds good. All right, moving right along. We're down to county manager.
Mr. Chairman, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and everyone say a little prayer for our underdog football team this weekend.
Okay. Ms. Jones, do you have anything?
Just a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Okay. Ms. James, you got anything?
I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, you can always tell when November, December get here. Mr. Wilder?
I don't have anything except that wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and we're glad to see things moving forward towards the completion of the worthy facility.
Sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Jones?
So does Wayne County really need the prayers?
He'll take them.
Yeah, they're gonna both take it.
Who they playing?
North Oconee,
Are they good?
they are good.
I think they are. Other than that, appreciate y'all showing up. Appreciate comments from Lincoln Park people. We've moved this ball forward a little bit more, and hopefully by next spring, summer, y'all will be able to do your ministry down there. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I appreciate everybody on this board, and I hope everybody gets their fill on Thanksgiving Day. Amen.
Mr. Alex?
I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. You have a great, safe holiday weekend or weekday, whichever one you get to celebrate.
And I'll say likewise, and I'll include one reminder that we do have a very important statewide runoff election going on right now, and would encourage everyone to exercise your constitutional right to go vote. Let your vote count. All right, and with that, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Missed one.
Oh, I forgot about you.
Yeah. Well, obviously, yeah, ditto, but also I want to thank my constituents in District 4 for allowing me to sit in the seat for another 4 years. So,
We thank them as well.
Mine too.
Yeah,
Mine too.
there you go. All right. Is there any, oh, by the ways, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Stay warm, stay dry.
got it, yeah, I got it.
Okay, that's exactly right.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir.